Hi guys. In terms of the Chapter 7 unit, assessing and meeting your audience needs, the process of writing instructions, the 5 parts of instructions, one of the things that I'd like to have just a short conversation about is the concept of oral communication in terms of instructions. One of the things that you'll find that happens most frequently within any business situation is that instructions are most frequently given verbally. An individual, whether it's a supervisor, a co-worker, someone who's asking for assistance, they will ask for help and they will provide oral directions, oral instructions. Now, that being said, there are some very important concepts to consider here, both from the part of the individual providing the instructions and the individual who is receiving the instructions. First, go back to the 3 C's: clear, concise, correct. If you are the individual who's providing the instructions, make sure that you're very clear about what the instructions are. In other words, make sure what needs to be done and make sure you explain what the results should be. That's the only way that the individual who's receiving the instructions is going to know if they have completed the process outlined in your instructions in the appropriate fashion, that these instructions will result in a positive outcome. Now, if you are going to provide instructions, one of the things you may want to consider is asking the individual that you are providing the instructions to either, would you do me a favor and write this down? Or ask, can you repeat back to me what it is that I'm expecting to have done and how I want it done? Now, that may sound kind of silly to say, okay, can you repeat that back to me? But here's the thing. It is not designed to make an individual feel like they weren't listening. It's an opportunity for you to double check, to cross-reference, that they have heard what you have said, that there's no discrepancy in the transmission of that verbal correspondence. The other thing that's so important is on the side of the individual who's receiving the instructions. Picture yourself going to a gas station and and you're asking for directions. Now, I know a lot of people say, I'm a guy. I don't need directions. It doesn't make any difference if you're a man or a woman or whatever, a child. A lot of times we have to ask for directions. One of the best things that you can do is, as the individual provides you directions or instructions, write it down and then repeat it back to them. So if I understand correctly, what I need to do is go 3 blocks to the left. When I get to the grocery store on the left, take a right there after the grocery store. Write those things down. Now, what that does in a business setting is it provides the individual who has provided the directions an assurance that you have understood what it is they have to say. It also allows them to appreciate that you are dedicated to making sure that they're vested in seeing that your requests, that your directions are important to them, important enough that you were willing to write it down and then repeat it back to them just to guarantee that you had it right. Those two things, on both sides of the conversation, can be so helpful in solidifying the relationship between you and the other individual, whether you're giving or receiving the instructions. Once again, most of the conversations you hear or have at work, the majority will be verbal. And it's so important to make sure that you are letting the other individual know, one, that you care about what they have to say, two, you're vested in accomplishing what it is that they want done. So I hope this provides a little bit of insight that's not covered in the text, just in terms of real life experience. Thanks for listening, guys.